Heyo, Plaidman here. Hi, Prunes. So, it's technically Thursday, but I did not do a video yesterday, so I didn't post a video yesterday. So I get to do a Wednesday video today. I'm also going to do another video, change it up a little bit. So Wednesdays are supposed to be what if days. And I just listened to something interesting that I feel like it was kind of appropriate and fascinating. The simplicity of it is Joe Rogan and Aaron Rodgers. Joe Rogan being the very well known and well revered talk show host. It's not really what he's called. Sorry, I'm trying to do a thing on my computer at the same time, and multitasking is not my specialty. Joe Rogan has a podcast, YouTube channel, whatever. He does long form conversations with people. And he got Aaron Rodgers, who's one of the most prolific quarterbacks in the NFL that still plays. Probably, top two and that still plays. Anyhow, and they're talking about things and stuff. And one thing I thought was interesting is I happen to be born into Scientology. I consider myself still a Scientologist. There are things about it I don't like and don't agree with and don't understand and don't know. So, don't put me on the cross and be like, you're the worst person ever. And if you have questions, by all means ask. But I thought it was interesting because in this conversation, Joe Rogan comes out and is like, Scientology, stupid cult. It's like, okay, younger me would have been like, click off, I'm done. I'm not that person anymore, so it's like, okay. Well, fine, whatever. You don't like me, it's fine. Me. But what was interesting is as soon as he said that, and then like 5-10 minutes later, he started talking about this other subject with Aaron Rodgers about aliens and how we might be not human bodies, but actual spiritual beings in bodies, and aliens might be kind of like utilizing the spiritual beings in our bodies for something else. And that was kind of my what if scenario of the day. Is I felt it's super fascinating because, in a nutshell, not all the things, but that was kind of my understanding of Scientology is that, hey, the basics of Scientology are you are, like, what if you are not a body, but you are actually a spiritual being? What if, as a spiritual being, your abilities have been drastically reduced to operating this little meat stick that we call bodies and living in this world that we live in? Like, what if that was the situation? And then the question is like, well, why are we here? What have you? And I want to kind of bring to your attention, if you've not thought of it yourself, don't feel bad. But some of the things that I've thought of is how fascinating it is you can get women from different cultures, different ages, and they tend to think and act alike. And similarly with men, and I'm generalizing here, from different cultures, different ages, and they tend to think and act alike. And you'll note that the men and the women don't think the same at all. They are kind of like oil and water in certain respects. That doesn't mean that they can't cohabitate, because obviously they can. But it is a very fascinating thing, and I don't have a reference for those of you that are like, well, what's the data behind this? You would kind of need to look at it yourself. But it'll be a fun test for you to go and ask 10 guys a question, right? And you'll find that 8, maybe 7 out of 10 of them will give you the same answer. And give it like a gender specific, something a dude would answer or no. And then do the same thing with women. And you'll find that they kind of share the same general viewpoints. It's not political, it's not sports, like what's your favorite team? And you're like, no, David, I asked 10 guys and 3 of them said this team and 3 said this team and 3 said this team. It's like, okay, for starters, my name's Plaidman. But anyways, joking aside, Like, that's not the real thing. And I don't have a good question for you to ask. I feel like it's something, it should be a game for you to just ask your coworkers and kind of do your own investigation, which is really what we as human beings all should do, is our own investigations as to whether or not something works or doesn't. COVID. Whew. So aside from all that mumbo jumbo, that was kind of the interesting thing, is like, what if that is true? What if you're a spiritual being on in this body, occupying this body on this planet? What does that mean? And I don't know if it means anything. I really don't know. I don't know what the point is of living. I will say this, that I feel like there is a lot more to life than simply just struggle. Okay? I feel like there's no reason why we as people, as entities, whatever you want to call us, can't get to a level where we're doing well. We're killing it. Like, hey, everyone on the planet Earth has got food if they want it. Like, we're good. Hey, we got plenty of energy. We're good. Like, just all these things. And it's so weird, because I feel in saying that, people are going to take it and be like, oh, you want communism and you want socialism. And it's like, no, I don't. Actually, quite the opposite. Those don't work. What does work, though, is if you start taking away the hamperings and the resistance and the difficulty for people to be successful. And I will go one step further, because I do think that that's a bit of a misnomer. I do think that there is success in struggle. Like, you'll find it's very rarely a person who has all the resources at their disposal from day one, and they don't tend to do very well. Just saying. There's exceptions. Bill Gates, Elon Musk, those are exceptions. I don't know about Amazon guy, Jeff Bezos. The Apple guy, Steve Jobs, I don't think he came from tremendous wealth, so there's that. But there are exceptions as well. I mean, the other hand, you look at, just on Kanye West, every person who's in professional athletes, pretty much all of them come from areas that were not super affluent. Not all, but most of them, a lot of them. And it shows you that, like, no, there is something to be said from overcoming struggle, trials and tribulations and difficulties to achieve high levels. However, I feel like nature will provide that anyways. I don't think you need a man-made struggle to incentivize people to succeed. Quite the contrary, I feel like if you take basic things like healthcare, and not just healthcare, but I mean, we need to come up with a new word, but effectively body care, like taking care of your body so it is healthy and survives and does well. And that means everything from what you ingest to the amount of exercise you do, to the amount of like going out in the world. Like, those are all things part of health care or body care. And most of them are kind of thrown out the window, and it's like, here's a pill. And weirdly enough, in society, that has been bastardized and destroyed. And I'm not trying to go on a whole crusade about that. I could, but I'm not going to. But what if we lived in a world where people were responsible for their actions? People were, like, if you're in a corporation and your corporation does something shady, you're also responsible for it. Might change where you want to work. Just saying, what a concept. I feel like maybe we should start pivoting in that direction. And I think that also starts with maybe we as a people saying, you know what? No, I don't want to forego all this responsibility and just give it to daddy government. I want some responsibility back, which I've kind of harped on before, but I feel like it's relevant. So anyways, that's kind of my what if for the day, is what if you had control of your life? What would you do? If you could do anything, what would you do? Right? And I've asked this question before. I love asking it again. If you had a genie and you had 3 wishes, what would it be? And then think about what would the ramifications of those wishes be? Like, how would that reverberate throughout the world or your immediate environment and your family and friends and whatever? Like, if suddenly you had $1 billion or $10 billion, how would that affect where you decide to live and your family and your coworkers and things like that? Please comment. If you want a new question or you want a new subject matter or you want my opinion on it, let me know. But that's it for right now. I'm going to do another video shortly. Plaid Man out. Love you. Bye.